Rivals.com signing day show continues. I'm Adam Gorney, joined by Tony Tsoukalas from TideIllustrated. And Tony, Alabama finished with the number 2 class in the country, a very strong finish, but a whole lot of movement down the stretch here. Let's talk first about Kalen DeBoer getting there, the transition that it's been, and sort of the finish that the finishing touches he put on this class.
Yeah, I think, boy, has it been like a whirlwind since, Nick Saban retired. I thought, for a while there, the sky was falling on Alabama, and, it looked like Kalen DeBoer was entering a real big mess. And to his credit, yes, they did lose a few guys, and notably Julian Sayin, a 5-star quarterback, but I think he recovered pretty well. And obviously the big name addition and the biggest feather in his cap so far is Ryan Williams, the 5-star receiver from Maryland, who I think is, we might be getting ahead of ourselves, but probably the most important get for Alabama in-state since Julio Jones, just in terms of what it could mean to the momentum of Kalen DeBoer and the Kalen DeBoer era. So, it's I think Alabama's feeling a lot better about itself right now than it was when Kalen DeBoer came in. And I think there's a lot more confidence around what he's doing. Another person he brought in was Noah Carter, who's probably a really underrated edge rusher, somebody that, was signed with Washington. They released him from his NLI. So, I mean, I think it's going pretty well for Kalen DeBoer. We'll have to see what he does, for next year's class. But, how he came in, how he kind of stopped the bleeding, I think it's pretty promising so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely a different situation. This was not a situation where Saban announced his retirement early and they could, bring someone in. This was sort of out of the blue. There's going to be some dust ups there. The way we count it, the way that we're going to talk through this in the off season, but 4 5-stars. Sayin counts in the class, and then he'll also count in the Ohio State transfer class. But then the other ones, Ryan Williams, like you already talked about. But let's talk about the 2 cornerbacks, Xavier Brown, Jalen Mbakwe. Mbakwe probably more speed, not as polished. Brown, very polished, very technical, maybe not at the same speed as Mbakwe. What do they bring, and can they kind of be instant impact guys in that defense?
Look, Alabama does not return a cornerback with any college snaps to his name. They brought in Damani Jackson, the USC transfer who started, so they have him. But yeah, they don't have Jalil Hurley is coming back. He total red shirt last year. So to think that maybe an Mbakwe or a Brown could start. Right now, they're in the mix, at least. I actually, I think Mbakwe probably has a higher ceiling than Brown. But if you ask me who has a better chance to start, I might go Brown right now. Like you said, he's kind of a more polished, more developed guy. I think Mbakwe probably has probably more speed and overall talent. He's a guy that played everywhere at the high school level. He's definitely one to watch, and maybe as the season progresses. But it'll be interesting. And then Mincy too. I think he's another big time guy that they could see in that mix as well.
We can't talk recruiting without portal, and there were definitely some big additions, but I would say on balance, probably a lot more subtractions there. The way we count it, 30 players left the program. That's hard to believe at Alabama. Does that have a massive impact on next season, or can they kind of piece this together with the talent they already have and then the guys that they're going to bring in, both high school and portal?
I don't think it's going to have as big of an impact on offense, but on defense, it definitely stung. I think, from the receiver position, you look at, oh gosh, they lost Isaiah Bond, they lost Amari Black. It's like, yeah, they did, but they also getting in Jeremy Bernard. You're replacing Seth McLaughlin with Parker Brailsford, who's another, great center. So, and then I guess the hope would be that like a Caleb Odom comes in and kind of can maybe do something that Amari Black could do. And then obviously you lose Sayin. You didn't really ever have Sayin, but you lose him. But you brought in Austin Mack, who's a 6'5" guy that, early enrollee last year, spent a year in DeBoer's system. Shoot, I mean, he might even have a chance at pushing Jalen Milroe for the job if things don't go to plan with Milroe and DeBoer. So that'll be interesting. I wouldn't be worried on offense. Defensive side of the ball, how do you replace a Caleb Downs? You can't. I think Caleb Downs might be the best defender in college football next season. I really, that hurts. Losing guys like a little bit of a head scratcher. Like losing Trey Amos. I think that's really big because he's a guy that definitely would have started for Alabama, and so that's somebody they'll have to replace. Even depth positions like Jake Pope is a guy that I think, man, it would really be nice to have his experience in the back half. And then that's on top of the people that Alabama lost, just to the draft. I mean, they're losing, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terry and Arnold, Dallas Turner. Those are 3 first-round picks right there. So it's tough. I do like some of the people that, Alabama. Obviously, Damani Jackson had a rocky season at Southern California, but I think he's somebody that's got 5-star potential, and it's all there. If he can put it together, he can be a really big player. Same thing with LT Overton. Kind of was lost in a Texas A&M defensive line that was historically talented. Yeah. He's a guy I think that can do a lot, and it'll just be interesting to see how those guys kind of fit into Kane Womack's scheme, because it's not a Nick Saban defense. So for so long, we've talked about defensive players, our defensive coordinators coming in. They're like, well, it's a Nick Saban defense, and this and this and that. It's not. It's a Kane Womack defense now, and it's kind of interesting to see how that will play out. But guys like LT Overton, I really like his fit in a 4-2-5, where he's kind of like that tweener. He'll serve in that bandit role. It's kind of more like a strong side defensive end, instead of trying to get him either to be a defensive tackle and like put on like 30 pounds or to drop down to like 250 and be a jack linebacker.
That segues into my last question. And maybe there is no answer to this until we see it, but can the Alabama fan base get past Nick Saban? Like, is every decision by Kalen DeBoer or Kane Womack going to be, well, Nick wouldn't have done that, so it's wrong? And our 11-win season's enough there. Do you get the sense, covering the team every day, that they're excited for the future, or are they still looking to the past?
I think that there's like this cautious optimism now. I think the sky was falling, then it didn't fall. I think Ryan Williams was such a big momentum boost to this class that I think Alabama fans are kind of have a positive. Now, if, Kalen DeBoer loses to Wisconsin and Georgia, yeah, the pitchforks are going to be out, But I think I don't necessarily think if he loses to Georgia that they're just going to be, calling for Nick Saban or doing it. Like, obviously, replacing Nick Saban, there's going to be, Nick Saban they wouldn't be in this position if he loses or whatever. Saban's going to get the benefit of the doubt there. But I think there's an expectation that he's not going to be Nick Saban. So it's almost, you could say it's hard, but at the same time, I don't think anybody's really expecting him to come in and be, undefeated next season. I think Alabama will have a good team, assuming they can get a tackle and, maybe a cornerback out of the portal. But I think they have a chance at the playoff. I think that's going to be the real thing. Can DeBoer make the playoffs his first year? If he can, I think it's a major success, and I think Alabama fans will rally behind him. If he can't, I think that's going to be the big question mark. I think it's going to, it'll start to build. If Alabama doesn't make an extended playoff, Alabama fans thought when the playoff got extended that they'd never miss it. So that was before Nick Saban left. So we'll see if that's still an automatic thing under Kalen DeBoer.
Blitz, Bama Blitz, is that right? Or should we get Willie on next year?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a few slogans, I don't know if I can say them all, but yeah. The other two I can't, so I'll just stick with Blitz, Bama Blitz.
There you go. Exactly. That is Tony Tsoukalas from Tide Illustrated joining Adam Gorney here at Rivals for signing day coverage.